Yeah, tap at the bottom of the screen. That's what I'm doing. I was trying to hit this literally, this wasn't even activating. That wasn't doing anything like that. It was just all wonky. Hey guys, we're back. Hey everybody, we're back. We're back and we're trying to get my buddy Grant Roberts fit into the chat with me because he's not still in the chat. Grant, you need to send me a request. I would appreciate it if nobody else other than Grant sends me requests right now. It would make it easier to find his name. Not that I don't want to talk to all of y'all. I do. At some point, I promise. But right now, or at least for the next 35 or so minutes, we've got... I am confused. But maybe I'll just try with... Watch it. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin. Carol Baskin. Killed her husband, did. I don't know. Whatever that rap is, it's hysterical. Come on, Flow Subs. It's either Marcus or JR. Creeping like a creeper. Favorite flavor of the Flow stuff? Well, we have different types of products, and I have different flavors that I like per product. So my favorite protein is, I don't know. Oh, look at that creeper.
What's up,
JR
bud?
Kirshner.
I gotta put on a hat. This is horrible.
Come out of the closet, JR. We've all been waiting for you to come out of the closet.
I'm getting my stuff together, actually, because I'm heading out to Wildwood to work out.
Hey, well,
hey,
hey, anybody who's watching my feed right now, if you're not already following Flow Sups,
I think you should.
FLOWSUPPS, please go do that because we're going to be doing a lot more lives, Instagram lives on Flow. That'll be a little bit more workout specific, nutrition specific, also a lot of fun. And then here in our gym, where I am right now, because I'm trying to get on the horn here with the Grant Roberts. All right, JR, I'm going to see you in a second. Clean up your hat. You look filthy.
I know. Later.
Bye. Bye. I'm looking at my requests. Still don't see Grant Roberts fit. Still don't see him. Oh, okay. He's in viewers. I got him. Found him in viewers.
Hey.
In touch with Crystal Rodriguez. Of course I do. Oh, you're sideways, bro.
What's up? I'll do it the other way. Hold on. I don't know how to do. I'm terrible at this stuff.
Are you on a phone, a tablet, or a laptop?
I'm on a phone.
Can you prop your phone up?
Yes. How's it going, man?
Two Luddites trying to figure out technology. Wow, the millennials are just laughing at us.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant, where in the world are you? Oh!
Good one. I just reversed my phone. Hold on.
Yeah, don't do that. There you go.
Well, it's Earth Day. That's what it is. Earth Day.
It's what?
It's Earth Day.
It's Thursday?
Earth Day.
Oh, it's Earth Day. Oh, that's why you got the Earth. You don't typically have a big atlas behind you?
I do, but it's especially important today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, happy Earth Day to you, and happy Earth Day to everybody out there, by the way. I think April 22nd, 1970 is something I just read. That was our first
50th anniversary.
Yeah, man. Like, what an amazing... And also, by the way, that it is the singularly largest celebrated... what was the word that they used? Damn it.
It's the biggest event in the world. It's the biggest event in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the largest event in the world that is a secular event. There are larger events in the world that are religious events, but the largest, like, no religion, no whatever, just like we all, no matter what walk of or faith you come from, the largest we all collectively celebrate is Earth Day. And by the way, it probably should be. I mean, for crying in the night, it's the only place in the universe that holds life on it. So let's not fuck it up.
That we know of.
That we know of. Of course. I'm totally open to that too. I can't wait to go to fucking alien planets and do alien shit. That'd be fun.
Well, 2 points on Earth Day. One is, why do they call it Earth when it's mostly water?
Well, because it's actually not mostly water.
Well, surface-wise, you're right.
Surface-wise, it's mostly water. But if we're talking about the actual whole Earth, it's far more Earth than it is water.
Many more substances, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess if there's anything shows us how close we are in this world is this pandemic.
Oh, bro, absolutely. I mean, it's insane how many. I mean, obviously, all of us have had so many conversations with all of our friends and family over these last few months. And I'm sure all of us kind of sound a little bit like broken records, because every time you talk to a new person, you're basically saying a lot of the same stuff, unless some of those ideas or opinions are evolving, which would be also a good thing. But I'll tell you, I definitely feel like a broken record when I say that I really do deep down believe that through all of the shit and sadness and pain and not great things that many of us are, well, that all of us, but then even specifically some of us will greatly, unfortunately, experience through this time. My prayer, my hope, my faith, my belief is that this is going to be some kind of growing pains that we have all needed to go through in some way, shape, or form, as a Homo sapien, as a species, as a globe, as with animal and plant and environment and everything. We all needed to take this massive slowdown break and rethink the way we do all the things that we've been doing, like almost all the things we've been doing. And on the other side of this, I really do believe that we'll have a better world if we can seize this opportunity. And if we don't just get to the other side and be like, wow, we made it, and let's go fuck it all up again. You know what I mean? And that's going to require us voting a lot of people who are better people into offices of varying ilk. I'm not talking about just one specifically. I'm saying that whoever are our leaders, we should elect people who are leaders and not bosses. We need people that earn that respect and earn that trust because they genuinely give a shit about other people and the environment and how we ought to treat ourselves and one another. And if we can do that, I think there's a really groovy, like Star Trekian world on the other side. I think we're going to get our shit together. I think we're going to collaborate in the sciences. We're not going to be battling each other anymore. It's not going to be a matter of like, oh, well, I got that patent, so I get the money. It's like, hey, I figured some stuff out and it can help the world. Let's go help the world. Let's help people stop dying from things like cancer and AIDS and every other disease. Let's figure out how to use CRISPR and get in there and collectively. I know scientists around the world are already trying to do this in some way, but you know, taking the top of technology, being moral and responsible about it, but allowing those things to help people, sharing wealth, sharing technology, sharing information. Because like you said, all the way back down around a bit, who do we think we are? The nationalism that exists in all of us, and there's a lot. And look, and I'm proud to be an American. Amen. Hallelujah. America. Love it. But also I know that by definition, when you identify within your nationality, you are creating even a psychological barrier to other people on the other side of the world that don't look like you, that don't talk like you, that are growing up in a different kind of experience. And guess what? We all get killed by the same fucking flu. Every single, like you're saying, if this doesn't tell us, like it should have told our ancestors in 1912 when the Spanish flu was flying around, that we're all the same bag of meat walking around on the planet, then guys, what are we doing?
Yeah, absolutely true. There is a silver lining there. Nietzsche probably said it best: that which does not kill you makes you stronger.
Sure. Yeah, I think that definitely applies to this. But again, I think it's, you know, like, look, I'm so unbelievably blessed that during such a time, I have already been able to save money and have, you know, my property that I have been investing in for many years, and I've been able to host friends and family here. And I know that's not what most people's experience is. What most people's experience is they're trapped. They feel very trapped in their home or their apartment or with particular people that they don't want to be trapped with all the time. You know, so I'm aware of, I speak of these things from a place of privilege, but I think that it applies to us all regardless. And also, by the way, a lot of us are speaking from a place of privilege, regardless of how we're quarantining or writing this out. If you haven't actually caught the virus, if you haven't actually gone down and been put into a medically induced coma and on a ventilator, like my friend Nick Cordero is awesome. I'm sure you've been following this. Just incredible guy, amazing actor, brand new husband and father. They got a little baby at home. He came down with COVID. I haven't even gotten to the bottom of, you know, ultimately all of the details, but ultimately went through, he's been fighting, and I think he's actually in a decent place right now, thank God. But all the complications led him to have his friggin' leg amputated. A guy who made his living, oh yeah, dude, he's losing his leg. And it's like, you go, holy crap, like, you know, even if I was stuck by myself in an apartment, at least I'm not losing my fucking leg. At least I'm not like quite literally on death's door. And by the way, and he lost a leg, at least he didn't die. At least he didn't actually pass away from, I just had another friend, both of his parents got COVID, you know, older, but nonetheless, both of them got COVID and both died within 2 weeks of each other. Completely, obviously unexpected. They weren't doing that unwell before all of this. I don't even know what that's like. And now they're trying to sit Shiva, virtual Shiva, for both of his dead parents. I'm like, people are getting buried without ceremonies right now. Like, this is so gnarly. It's so gnarly.
Tragic.
We have to love ourselves and love each other and use this opportunity to do so.
Well, I know this is a big topic for you, Zach, and I know there's a lot of anxiety out there, and rightfully so. But at the same time, the message is there's always somebody worse off than you.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So we do have to count our blessings. We have to be aware that, that the situation is what it is and somehow make the best of it.
Yeah. And I would only add to that one more thing, which I think a lot of us, maybe all of us at least at some point, struggle with, which is how do you process your own legitimate issues without feeling like you're being ungrateful when you apply context and perspective and go, oh, but because a lot of us do this. A lot of us think it's actually the way you're supposed to live, which is deny yourself. Oh, no. It's, it feels very humble. But I don't think that is ultimately a healthy thing to do. I think that what we need to be able to do is acknowledge that, yes, use context and perspective, acknowledge that you may not have the worst of the problems on the planet and be grateful for that, but still allow yourself to process and handle the issues that are still real for you. As an actor who makes very good money and gets to do the cool things in the world like I've gotten to do, you could go to, and I've gone down some mental, emotional spirals, feeling like when I've been struggling and not allowing myself to process it, like why I went to therapy that saved my life, because so much of my life I had been like, no, but these people and that, and these aren't real problems. And it's like, no, they are real problems. Yeah. They're real problems. Don't try to compare them to other people's problems. Just be mindful that there are other people with other problems in the world, and that should hopefully help you to then accept and identify and work through yours. So if for anybody out there that's watching, definitely use context and perspective. Definitely understand that there's probably always somebody that is in worse shape than you in some way, shape, or form, but do not allow that to deny you the process that you still need to go through and taking care of yourself and whatever issues you might be going through, including or specifically right now. And stuff we're going to get into and stuff that I talk about on my lives all the time, which is if you're struggling with your mental or emotional health, there are so many tools to help you in this right now, not speaking to somebody, whether they're quarantined with you or not. There's so much online therapy going on. I think therapy is going to blow up after this. There's going to be so many people that didn't think they had any mental or emotional health issues until they had to spend 2 months with themselves. And all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, like you're white knuckling through this. Why am I white knuckling? Why can't I just enjoy being with me? Because you've got some things you need to work through. So go find some online therapy. That's rocking and rolling right now. But also, are you eating well? Are you eating right? And are you moving your body in some way, shape, or form? And I've been preaching this since day one when people are asking me about mental health. Guys, it is directly, immediately, importantly connected to your physical health. If you are not taking care of your vessel, then you are not taking care of the heart and mind that are within that vessel. They're all super interconnected. And don't take my word for it. You can take Grant's, and you can just read any kind of study that's ever been done in the last 20 years. But Grant, speak on that, please.
Exercise is an immediate antidepressant. You may not, you struggle to get yourself to the gym, but
can you sit a little closer to your microphone or something? I'm just having a hard time hearing.
Let me see if I can turn it up.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, well, that's probably more your volume. But yeah, so keep going on what you're talking about, and in that, connect for us why it is an antidepressant. What is releasing in your body when you are moving your body?
It's the factors, the hormonal factors that take place during exercise, right? Exercise is potentially produces cortisol, but that is the end of the workout. During the workout, there's adrenaline. There's all kinds of positive influences, basically the fight or flight mechanisms that help us feel better. But don't underappreciate nutrition and the immune system, right? So it's this one big package. We want to take care of ourselves. Exercise and nutrition arms our bodies. I honestly believe that every disease on this planet is the result of a nutritional deficiency, right? Take scurvy, for example, right? Back in the day,
vitamin C deficiency.
Scurvy because of vitamin C. That's one nutrient that you were lacking. So that just shows you how incredibly important all of the nutrients are that you have at all given times to arm your system. If there's a weakness, if there's a chink in your armor, a disease will find it, and then you arm it through nutrition. And then exercise, of course, is the ultimate tool because you do it to get bigger, stronger, faster. You're better prepared to fight for the next day. That's why we exercise.
Yeah. But we'll talk about
Neurologically,
dopamine, serotonin. How much
yeah,
of that is being released when you're working out, when you're
massive
running, when
amounts.
you're how much is being released when you're running versus when you're lifting weights versus other
Right.
types of things?
Well, so that's a great question, Zach. So neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, that takes place with oxygen and blood flow. And quite honestly, the best way to produce that is through cardiovascular exercise. So slow and steady wins the race. 65% of your maximum heart rate, so maximum amount of oxygen still being available. It actually creates neurogenesis. The new brain cells are created. I did a study for a year with a school in this. I think I told you about it. And it was fascinating. But what's really fascinating is immediately following exercise, neuroplasticity, the ability to retain the information is there. So what we did with these kids was we put them in a program. It was an hour-long class, but 20 minutes of the class rotated between strength training and cardiovascular training, and then they would go through the regular class. So it was a condensed 40-minute class opposed to the full hour class. We divided the classroom. Half the kids just did a regular curriculum, no school, no exercise. The other half of the kids did the physical activity and a reduced curriculum. At the end of the year, the kids that did no exercise improved 1 grade score as expected. The kids that did exercise in a condensed classroom improved 3 to 5 grade scores. So it's phenomenal the role that exercise plays in your brain. Well, think about it. When you've got a problem to solve, what do? You get up and you start pacing. Because your brain is saying, feed me, give me some oxygen, give me some blood. We're intuitive. But when we were kids, you and I, we rode our bikes to school.
Man. We were so active. Oh, man, totally.
So kids aren't moving anymore, and they're getting dropped off to school, and it's just not a healthy environment.
Copy that, man. Okay. So what else would you say, and, quarantine or no quarantine, but let's just say since we obviously are in this place right now, what would be like your 3, and not just general ideas, but like what are 3 specific things that the folks watching can apply right now, whether it's a specific body movement or a specific circuit or specific, even like superfood or something like that? Like what would you, other than of course, recommending all of my Flow supplements,
all of the Flow products,
that's a given. But other than that, what are 3 takeaways that people can leave with from this?
So nutritionally, you want to make sure that all the essential nutrients are there. It's critically important. If you want to isolate ones that are very important, greens are very important, right? All those phyto minerals are going to make sure that your body is armed. Also, omega-3 fatty acids, critically important for the brain. It's also an anti-inflammatory, so it's very good for stressful environments. And magnesium. In fact, Zach, I just read an interesting study on depression. The people that skip breakfast are more likely to have depressive qualities.
Really?
Really, yeah.
Really? Okay, well, that's interesting because,
let me just follow up a little bit more. So intermittent fasting, right? Intermittent fasting is elongating the amount of time that you don't eat. And I've always been a proponent, and I know we've talked about this. I've been a proponent of doing intermittent fasting in the opposite direction. Stop eating later at night, but when you get up, don't waste too much time. Get your food in you and start, because you want to shut off that cortisol, that stress hormone that elevates through the nighttime. And I think that's why we're seeing that you'll have a better benefit, and why antidepressant properties of having breakfast in the morning shut things down. Remember the post-workout paradox? It's the same thing, right? After a workout, what did I give you? I gave you some dextrose, I gave you some protein, I gave you some creatine, and you chugged it down to start repair immediately and shut down cortisol.
So cortisol, so that's really one of the trickier things, is that what you're trying to do is keep cortisol low.
Manage it, yes.
And if you don't have breakfast in the morning, your cortisol's high?
It's a little bit higher. It keeps elevating over the course of the night because your body's starting to break down. It's starting to use the energy that it had stored through night. Breaking the fast means breakfast, right? The intermittent fasting, and that's what breakfast means. Break the fast.
Yeah.
Have some food. So you don't want to elongate it too long. And people tend to make the mistake with intermittent fasting. Well, the longer I go, the better it is. It's not true, right? You want to make sure that you're still eating. If you extend your deprivation of food for too long, it actually slows the metabolism. So I'm not saying intermittent fasting doesn't work, just do it appropriately and smart. And I do it in the reverse order. I do it longer at night.
So that's what I was going to get to. So I actually have been, because I mean, you're aware of all of these gut issues that I've been struggling with for the last year or so. And Gabrielle in New York and, all the various doctors I've been to and just trying to figure out what this is. And I still haven't gotten to the bottom of it, which is really disconcerting, but I'm just trying to make the best of it regardless.
Right.
One of the things that I thought would be helpful, and one of the things I've been practicing as of late, is a lot of intermittent fasting. But like the typical intermittent fasting, which is you wake up, you don't eat till much later in the day, and then you put a bunch of food into a few amount of hours, and then you're back at it again. And I've been feeling pretty great. My energy's been great. This has calmed down a little bit. I've definitely, I mean, obviously I've lost mass. I've lost probably 20 pounds since all this gut stuff happened, but that was less about, I wasn't intermittent fasting all that time. It was, I think I have something that's in me that's eating a lot of my nutrition, and I've just been kind of, cutting down. But my hope was, well, I'll starve this little fucker out. Whatever this is, I'm just going to not. And I've heard that intermittent fasting is helpful in those.
Because
those
whatever
ways.
you're eating is not helpful. It's feeding the environment that you don't want to feed. So
Exactly.
It's not the intermittent fasting so much as the food that you're putting in there.
Well, I understand that too. I mean, I've gone all over high FODMAP and low FODMAP diets and lectins, and I mean, a friend of mine swears by the carnivore diet. I've talked to Gabrielle about it. She basically eats it. She's like, "Oh, it's great." I'm like, "Okay, well, I've been eating nothing but basically meat for days now," which sounds crazy, and I still can't wrap my head around how can you get all of your nutrition out of all that meat. But
because the animal that had it got all the minerals from the feed. But that's what's critically important.
I get that. Yeah, cows eat grass. The grass, right? If it's grass fed, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if it's grain fed, you're just causing more problem and more inflammation. So the meat of an animal, a healthy animal, it's got all the nutrients you need. There was a fascinating study done in the early 1900s by a guy named Wilbur Stephenson, who went to live with the Eskimo at that time, or the Inuit. They were called Eskimo at that time, being politically correct. But
yeah, because they didn't have any plants and vegetables, did they?
No, nothing, zero.
Yeah.
He lived off of nothing but animal. Meat and blubber, fat.
Yeah, seal, fat, and meat. Yeah.
He said he was in the best shape of his life. He wrote an article for the Journal of Medicine and said the exact same thing, and everybody basically called bullshit. They said it can't be true. He said, lock me up in Bellevue Hospital for 1 year. Johns Hopkins was there, Harvard was there, all the major universities were there, and at the end of 1 year, concluded this guy was perfectly healthy, low cholesterol, low body fat, all on an all-meat diet, but it was grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Well, I mean, look, I definitely, I've known, and we've talked about a lot of this stuff because, like I was telling everybody on the last live as I was introing you, Grant here was my first major trainer in the
That was your first step?
Yeah. Well, for the Shazam transformation and journey, absolutely. I was with you in LA for 2 months, 2.5 months or so. Then after gaining miraculously all that weight that you were putting me through the motions for and eating all of that fucking food, it was so much food. Which we talked about is the worst, hardest part about the whole thing. It's not even lifting the weight. It's eating all that food. It's like a second job.
Yeah.
And then after LA, you handed me off to Kyle Ardill up at SWAT in Toronto. And then between principal photography and additional photography, when I was in New York with Maisel, I was working with Don Saladino out there. Yeah. And all of you guys are so just awesome, and I learned so much from each one of you, which is so cool, because every trainer has slightly different experience and wisdoms and style or whatever. But so we've had a lot of talks about this stuff, and I'm definitely have always pretty much been of the, or at least in recent history since I was educated on it, that this whole deception within the food pyramid that we were handed many years ago by what's his name,
Ansel Keys.
Yes.
Ansel Keys was the first guy that came out and said, we're getting fat because we're eating too much fat, which, of course, was an oversimplified theory. He lied to the American Heart Association. He lied to the USDA, created a study that was supposed to be based on 22 countries, but unfortunately, 15 of those countries didn't meet his hypothesis.
Yeah, it was like 9 or something.
7 countries studied, and he doctored it, and basically the low-fat diet was born, and obesity rates went through the roof ever since.
Well, obesity and all the things,
heart disease, diabetes,
I mean,
all the things that are associated. Right.
So I'm definitely, like I said, for a minute, I've been on that train and knowing that that is not the way to do it. But to have somebody propose to me, if you eat nothing but meat, even like red meat, which is, by the way, something my cardiologist has told me not to do, something that my gastroenterologist has told me not to do. They're all like Mediterranean diet, make sure you have a lot of fiber, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? What am I supposed to
There's
believe
a
right
reason
now?
for
Because
that,
I
Zach.
think
Number one, doctors don't understand nutrition. That's not their forte, right? So I appreciate doctors, and they got their specialties, and I'm not going to tell people how to do heart, surgery, but likewise, I would appreciate if they understand and reflect it to the professionals that actually know what they're talking about. So the information they're getting is from 1960s textbooks. It's very antiquated. Even the World Health Organization today is still talking about saturated fat. I contacted the World Health Organization and said, why are you dissing saturated fat? What is it that you think is problematic? I'm not saying it's the healthiest fat that there is, but it's not as problematic as they do. So they wrote back to me and said, here's the study that we're recommending 10% of your diet should be based on saturated fat. I immediately wrote them back and said, did you even read this study? Because what it said was your council of doctors said there was absolutely no evidence of any kind that saturated fat was problematic, but because they couldn't decide on the new number, they just said, let's leave it at 10%. That's a true story.
so. If all of this information is coming out and these studies are being done,
Right.
and we now have actual data about
Right.
like carnivore diet and all that,
Right.
how is it that doctors aren't being onboarded to? Why isn't this common accepted factual knowledge that is being
Some doctors
applied
are.
to our modern medical practice? What is you what? Why?
It's getting there. It's getting there, much like grass-fed beef, right? We talked about grass-fed beef 10 years ago. People go, what are you talking about? Where do you even get it? Now, because of consumer demand, you're starting to see it. You're seeing it in all the grocery stores.
Well,
now.
no. But fads are one thing. I'm talking about why isn't
Knowledge.
mainstream medical
Right.
science adopting what seemingly is still only being considered like quack nutritionists, like whatever that kind of stuff is. Why is that not happening? Why is it my not even that old gastroenterologist who didn't come out of medical school all that long ago? Why is he still recommending things to me that fly in the face of what is now popular nutritional ideal?
Right. Because breaking down the brick walls are very difficult. I will say old scientists don't change their mind, they just die. So if you go back even further, right, look at how we evolved as a species. We didn't have 7-Elevens on every corner. We evolved by eating very limited amounts of food. Most of the food that exists today wasn't there now. We can break the world nutrition into different time periods. For 3.5 million years, we lived off of what we could kill, right, and maybe some berries and whatever else. Corn didn't exist. None of those foods that we eat today existed. The agricultural era started about 10 or 11,000 years ago.
Are you just really quickly? I think you're kind of going to get into things like the plant paradox here, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Have you read that book?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I get asked tons and tons of questions about it. Now, as far as we can talk about, we'll get there. So, 10 or 11,000 years ago, agriculture began, right? And so man started to have communities, and the world changed drastically.
Yeah.
But we also saw the first instances of diabetes, of shorter stature, more brittle bones. All this was because of the induction into this change in our food system. And so you can ask yourself now, why are, for example, the African American culture or the Native American culture harder hit with diabetes? It's because they've had a shorter period of time to adapt to this crap food that we have adapted to a little bit more than the others.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay.
So if you look at things in a timeline, so if you want to find out where the problem was, go back to the beginning and then see, okay, where did it go wrong? Once we introduced grain into the diet, we saw man get shorter in stature and become less healthy. But it also helped us thrive as a community because it made life a lot easier. Yeah. And then we got into the industrial era where now we started to manufacture food. We still manufacture and create new foods every year. And well, to call them food is a stretch. They're not really food. It's a batch of chemicals.
Yeah.
So you can see that there is a consequence to be paid for all of those things. Now, as far as the vegan lifestyle, I support it for anybody. And I know you have a plant-based protein, and that's actually a pretty good protein because it's got the 9 essential aminos in there, and that's so important if you're going to follow a vegan lifestyle. It's difficult, it's challenging, but to have a protein that's got all of the essential elements in it makes life a lot easier.
So, but let me ask you though. I mean, is this a case-by-case basis? Do you believe that blood type? Do you believe that genetics determine whether or not a carnivore diet? Let's say just those two extremes. You got like an entire meat diet and an entire plant diet. Okay.
Okay. So first of all, you have to ask yourself this one question: has there ever been a society in history that has successfully lived on a vegetarian diet? The answer is no. other than in today's environment. So that's a big statement, right? We can see that it's never, ever worked. Now, that's to say that it's challenging. It's very difficult in delivering all the essential amino acids, all the healthy fats. Can it be done? Yes. So vegetarians and vegans today can do it, and it's challenging. And I have a few under that I take care of. And so, of course, I'm schooled in that. I don't necessarily promote it, but if it's a person's choice, I'm going to support it to make sure that they get it done the right way.
Of course. But I mean, I know you're a good guy, and of course you're going to support your clients, and you're also a very chill dude, and you're not trying to force anybody to do anything.
Right.
I'm just saying from a scientific, nutritional standpoint,
right.
I'm not asking you to condone or not condone either one of these things. I'm just saying, do you think, because you've just said that that an entire meat-based diet is not just cool, but like you're good. You get all the things. So long as you're doing grass-fed and you're doing all that stuff, you're getting everything you need.
You do. I would, yeah.
If you're doing an entirely plant-based diet, vegan, vegetarian, if somebody out there watching right now, if they're doing that, what is your recommendation to ensure that they're getting everything that they need? Or what are some major downfalls or drawbacks that you might see happening?
Great question. Well, the major downfalls and drawbacks are basically the B12s, the irons. Like those diets that's quite deficient in that diet. So you got to make sure that you supplement with it. So that's why vegans can thrive in today's culture, because you can supplement. You can't do that if you're living millions of years ago. So the supplementation is critically important. Obviously, if you're going to follow that diet, I do take a greens product. I would say take a greens product every morning and let it digest before you have your food. Obviously, fiber is phenomenally good for the human body. You want to supplement with an omega-3 fatty acid. Most of the grain, the problem with the vegetarian diet is very high in carbohydrates typically. So you're going to have an abundance of omega-6. You want to make sure you got enough omega-3 to create that balance. Omega-3 and omega-6 should be 1-to-1. In a North American diet, even a North American diet that's a meat-based diet, it's 14, 16, 20-to-1. And the way to understand that is omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory. Omega-6 is a pro-inflammatory, so it causes inflammation. So you have to be you want to make sure that ratio is 1-to-1. So the best sources of omega-3 from a plant-based, there's a great algae product out right now. I think it's called Brain Armor, and it's derived from algae. The DHA-EPA ratio is 2-to-1, which is what it should be. Or you could go with flax. I don't really love flaxseed because it tends to promote estrogen a little bit in males, but it's a great product for females. But that's your two best sources of omega-3 from a vegetarian perspective. And then, of course, making sure that your protein is a complete protein, much like your product. It's got all 9 essential amino acids.
Yeah, all of the aminos. Yeah, necessary.
For synthesis. If one is missing, it's a problem.
Yeah. Can you hear me all right? Because there's rain is pouring on my barn right now.
I can hear you great. Yeah. Okay. I can hear you fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I can't hear you at all, but if I could go grab my headphones right now, I'd hear you, except that it literally is just like pouring out there right now.
Oh, wow.
So cool. It came out of nowhere.
That ranch looks amazing, though, by the way.
So listen, let's take a few more minutes because I think I'm seeing a lot of little, really, I think, excellent questions or comments coming up, and I would love for you to speak to these. How do we, if we were to say, go convince everyone to be on a carnivore diet,
right?
And it's
not doing that, by the way.
What's that?
I'm not doing that, by the way. But yeah.
No. I know you're not. I'm saying, as someone who believes in its, we just talked about, as somebody who believes in its merit and believes that it can be really good. Let's say the new norm is we're all on the carnivore diet.
Right.
How do we, and apropos on Earth Day, how do we have an entirely red meat or meat carnivore diet?
Right.
And also maintain our environment if cows specifically are one of the major contributors to methane and therefore greenhouse gases? So
great point, and here's the answer to the question. So it goes in a number of ways. You have to look at the cost of feedlots. So feedlots, number one, adds damage to the environment because now you're trucking animals across country, and you're also trucking in feed, and then you're producing the feed, which is typically grain, which cattle are not designed to consume. Cattle are designed to consume grass, which is that 1-to-1 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. So when you take in this false diet, the cattle go to a feedlot to gain fat, and they get very fat in 100 to 110 days. If you left them there longer, they would die. So if you actually just left the cow in the field, the cow is much happier. You're reducing carbon emissions dramatically, And the emissions from the cow itself are much better because they're not gassy from the high grain diet.
So a grass-fed diet produces far less methane or no methane?
Yes. Yeah, well, it's less methane because the cow on a grain diet's agitated. It's not healthy.
Right. But even still, let's play that out. There's almost 8 billion people on the planet.
It's very
If
difficult.
8 billion people on the planet needed red meat as much as we're saying they might need red meat, even with the less emissions, how does that work? And also, in conjunction question with that, how do you feel about some of these new meats, these synthetic meats, these things that we're growing in labs or whatever? What are your thoughts on all that?
Oh yeah, we're going to see more and more and more of these synthetic labs. I don't really love the idea, but it's going to become natural. But I can tell you, Zach, the future for nutrition, and most people are going to want to hear this, but the future for nutrition and protein for the human race is going to be insects. It is the easiest.
I'm with you, bro. I've eaten crickets before, like roasted crickets, and they fucking taste great. And if we can just have just handfuls of crickets or whatever it is, and we get all of our protein the way we need it, dude, I'm so down.
That's the future. So you're right. For cattle production, it's very difficult to feed the planet because the planet's getting close to max, and it's very, very challenging. So therefore, I don't actually say an all-meat diet. Make a smart diet, but meat should be a part of your diet. And you see the government come out and talk negatively about meat, only more so because they're more concerned about those issues of production. And of course, the corn industry is subsidized, and it's they're plowing under corn right now because there's too much.
Bro, we got to get out. We got to get all the subsidies and all of the lobbying and all of that stuff.
Why aren't we subsidizing broccoli? Why aren't we subsidizing cauliflower? Because they don't. It's not part of the industry.
Yeah, bro. Okay, thank you for all of that. Just because I gotta plug / want to help inform people on Flow Subs. Right. So. You're not a paid endorser. I want you to be as honest as possible. I would love for you to tell the folks out there, because I've been telling you about this journey since hey man, I'm gonna make this supplement and all this shit. We were talking about the pitfalls of it, and hey man, these people have tried to do it, and those people have tried to do it, and I'm like, as I've told all of my constituency and everybody who follows me, and anytime I talk about Flow, for me, this was not about ever how do I go make a business and make a bunch of people from a bunch of money from people, as much as how do I literally make a supplement that I'm going to be happy with? Because we found out I had a dairy intolerance. So then I was like, okay, well, I got to find something that's plant-based. And then, as you know, most plant-based stuff just doesn't taste very good, or it's super chalky, or whatever.
Most of it's not complete. Right.
Screw that. So and the aminos and whatnot. Although we are going to be coming out with protein with no amino acids, because some people don't love the idea of sucralose, which is what we have to use to sweeten the aminoed protein, because amino acids have a really bitter taste profile. So in order to, but that's down the line. Talk to me. What are your thoughts and about our various products? And if you could explain some key ingredients in any one of them, about, like, people might not understand, like aminos. Let's break down aminos right now.
Sure. Okay. So there are 9 essential aminos that that form a chain. And if one is missing, the chain doesn't work. And that's really the problem.
What do for those out there who don't understand, why are why are aminos so important?
Okay, well, protein
and why do you take them particularly with protein and for working out?
So protein is basically a group of amino acids. That's what protein is. And so the amino acids are the molecules that form the protein. And you can have incomplete proteins, which most vegetable sources are. And that's why most vegetarians have to eat foods in combination to get that full spectrum.
In order to get the full,
Yeah.
But meat has full amino profile.
Right. And there's 9 essentials. There's much more amino acids, but whenever you hear the word essential in diet, doesn't mean that it might be good for you. It means that you must consume it on a daily basis or basically arm your immune system to provide the nutrients your body needs to thrive. Any of those things are missing, and over time, much like scurvy and lack of vitamin C, over time, it will get you. You're not going to get scurvy tomorrow if you don't have vitamin C. You're not going to get scurvy in a month if you don't have vitamin C. But go on for months and months, guess what you're going to get? Scurvy. All right, so it's important to arm your body, especially in today's day and age. We need that strong immune system. And the immune system is only given strength when all of the nutrients are there to provide. That's basically everything we do. Energy is one component of a life, but the arming of the system and the ability to repair and the ability to think and the ability to react are all driven by nutrients and hormonal responses that take place by the nutrients you take in. So really important, what you take into your body it's got to be as high a quality as you can possibly do. And I'm actually writing a book right now. It's a booklet. I'm going to give it away for free. And it's for, especially for right now, for people, how they can eat well on a budget. Because people think it takes money, and it doesn't. There's a lot of food you can have that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Okay, that's great, dude. Share that as soon as you've got that ready to rock. Let me know, because I would love to see that, because I talk to a lot of people about these things, and I want to be educated about it. I don't want to just be like, because I've heard you can eat healthy on a budget, and then people are like, look, motherfucker, I don't have any money, and I've been trying. So don't tell me that I can eat healthy on a budget if you're not in my position. I'm like, you know what, fair enough. So if you've got some good information to share with me and share with all of us, I'd love to hear that.
I'll have it done shortly.
So as far as our protein plus that has the amino 9s, we talked about those. Aminos, again, just recapping, are essential. And part of the reason why they're essential, just letting it's so loud, it's so loud. And I guess he's reparking. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
This is my life.
Oh, I love it.
It's like parallel parking.
Yeah.
So amino 9s, they are a protein. You're by giving yourself a bunch of aminos, those specific, those 9, you are equipping your body with the ingredients to synthesize its own protein.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So all the roles, and protein plays every role you can imagine, right? Your vision, your memory, your ability to put on muscle. Basically, every drug on the planet is a combination of amino acids. So they're very, very powerful, and they play an important role in the body. And deficiencies open the door to disease. That's simple.
Copy that. Is there anything else in the protein itself that would be an ingredient that we have in there that you find people to not understand often, but is a very important part of the special sauce?
Well, when I look at protein, and I like most people do, the first thing they do is they turn the label over and they go, what's the grams of protein per serving? Right? Oh, yeah. And then you want to make sure that it's complete protein. And you also want to make sure there's no spiking involved, because you can put a lot of cheap protein into a product.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that.
Grams, it's poor. The only other thing I do is I look at the carb count, because when you're buying protein, you're buying protein. You don't want to put the carbs in there, but as you said, you got to put something in to help promote the taste, because it doesn't taste great. Stevia is an option you may want to play with. Well, we
tried with stevia and monk fruit.
It's a little tart,
but the aminos are just so bitter. I mean, you know, if you take aminos by themselves, like they're gnarly. So it was just trying to figure out that exact balance of the sweetness to the bitterness.
I'll tell you, Zach, I've been around a long time, and I've been training, and I've been taking in supplements a long time since they really kind of began. The original supplements were horrifying. You could not get them down. Like, they were disgusting, and you felt horrible after. So we've evolved as a species as far as supplementation goes.
Yeah, totally.
And in the beginning, it was bad. Let's talk about some of your other products. You have the greens, which I think is a phenomenal product. I think everybody should take that in the morning. You should let it digest. You should take it before your food. Let it digest, then have some.
Oh, really?
Food.
Okay. Yeah. So start your day with a scoop of greens is a good way to get that going.
Yeah, give it a little bit of time, and then go ahead and have some food.
Okay.
You got, what else you got? You got
well, our pre-workout that I want you to talk about, you know, like stim versus pump, obviously, and why we ingredient and why certain people do pre-workouts in a different way, but then also the collagen, which if you want to just talk about the importance of collagen and biotin and hyaluronic acid, you know, that could be great too.
Hyaluronic acid. Every time I hear that name, I think of Eva. She's because of her commercial. Have you ever seen?
You think of what?
Eva Longoria. You ever seen her commercial?
Oh, no, I haven't seen, no.
Oh,
but you, Grant, for those out there, Grant also trains our mutual friend, Eva Longoria. Well, he does when we're not in quarantine anyway.
Yeah, we're not in quarantine. Anyway, she pronounces it on TV. She goes, hyaluronic acid. It's very cute. Anyways, so with your pre, you've got the citrulline, you've got the beta-alanine, you've got the taurine, and actually I like the green tea element to it. So you've got all these, basically the things that are going to help push that workout. And you've got some caffeine too, right? I can't remember the.
We do, but it's basically, you know, essentially all of these products. Selfishly, I was designing so that I liked them, but then also my partners, and we all kind of dug it. Which is, I think, the way you got to design anything, because if you actually don't approve of it and like it, then why the hell are you trying to get other people to buy it?
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. So for us, what was important about the pre-workout was because as you know, caffeine is great to stim, but then it also closes you vascularly. So you're kind of, it's a little bit of a give and take, and ultimately can not be, it's working against your workout sometimes if you overcaffeinate yourself.
Overcaffeinate, yeah.
If you overcaffeinate yourself. So we wanted to make sure that there was just enough caffeine in there, so it did give you that little bit of a pep, little bit of a stim,
yes.
But ultimately favor the vascular side of things to make sure that it was a better blood flow pre-workout to really allow your blood to get where it needs to get, because that's an incredibly important part of going and working out.
Right.
Well,
I'll tell you, the only thing I can say, awesome, man.
Trucks and airboats.
Very cool.
Yeehaw.
That's very cool. The only thing I can say about pre-workouts is much like, I didn't really answer your question about the difference with humans and the blood type and all that and DNA. Yes, there's a dramatic difference as far as what you can absorb nutritionally from one person to the next. One person's lactose intolerant, one person isn't. So pre-workouts are very much the same way. Some people like the stim, some people like the niacin effect, some people don't want any of that. So it's really, when you talk about pre-workouts, it's really personal preference. I try a lot of them, and to be quite honest, I don't do a lot of pre-workout, even though I think it's important. I stick to maybe a hot black coffee. But I do.
I know that. I know that about Grant Roberts. Yeah. Have you had a hot black coffee? Yeah. Yes, Grant. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I think it brings your body temperature up. It's thermogenic. It increases your oxygen absorption. There's a lot of things that it benefits. But there are a lot of pre's out there, and I think they're all personal preference. You have the necessary ingredients that people are going to need and benefit by, but ultimately, I think it's personal preference on pre's. Your protein is from a vegan source. It's got the 9 essential amino acids, critically important, well done, and it's hard to find a good quality product that actually tastes good. So there's not a lot out there, Zach, so good for you. And then
the collagen. Talk to people. Tell us a little bit about the importance of collagen and bites and hyaluronic acid, and how specifically. It's like a parade's going on behind me. There's apparently a tornado, severe storm watch that's just kicked in. So that's fun. Anyway, so why collagen, why bites, and why hyaluronic acid, and particularly those things together, and how those can positively affect your life?
Well, the best thing they can do is help repair the connective tissue. Connective tissue is everything, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link, and the collagen helps to promote and strengthen the connective tissue. You never want to have a rotator issue. I mean, those are all, when you think about how versatile that shoulder is, for example, that massive amount of muscle is connected to a bone, and it's force move, and it's very mobile. You want your connective tissue to be incredibly strong. So all of those collagen, biotin, and hyaluronic acids help promote and strengthen the connective chain.
Copy that. Yeah. Thanks, bud. See,
you got it.
It's so much better. Not that JR and Marcus and I, my partners at Flow, not that obviously we didn't handpick each one of these ingredients with the professionals that put these all together and source it and all that stuff and taste test it all. I'm telling you, man, doing the big pre-workout taste test days, you got to really throttle yourself, because we taste like 20 different pre-workouts. You can only take a little sip. Yeah. Otherwise, I was wired. Also, with beta-alanine, you get the tingles like crazy. So, but I'm so grateful to have somebody like yourself with the expertise and the wisdom and experience that you have cumulative in your life to be able to just speak on these things. We'll do more of this, I hope, in the future. But, just to help people, just to educate people. I think this is a beautiful opportunity for us to help people understand why it is what we're doing at Flow Steps, why we're doing what we're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and why I think we all need to keep having conversations about where we're going together. Not just, all the stuff we talked about in the beginning of this conversation about the world and COVID and all that jazz, but how we're moving forward in health and wellness. And let's figure out some real truth together and get really good diets and not be force feeding people a bunch of food that is only available because they have really great lobbyists with a lot of money. That would be great.
That's a good scenario wrap up. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. So good to see you.
Good to see you, Zach.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Bye, brother.